Well, good morning everyone. I hope you're all well. As you can see, the good old British summer has struck again. It's about the third day of quite heavy rain and overcast skies, and with that today also came a very strong northwesterly wind, which has made the Norfolk coast very choppy and rough. I was originally going to pick off one of my Norfolk venues I hadn't fished, which is just about on the northeast coast between Yarmouth and Walcott, because there's been quite a few smoothhounds being caught. But say with this weather suddenly changing and the wind building, that will be a non-event. So I've decided to shelter from the wind and head south. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to pick up another mark in Felixstowe. So that means it's a trip down the 140, down onto the A14 and then into Felixstowe. And then what I'm probably going to do, as I said before when I did the original Felixstowe video, there's 5 or 6 marks. I done a couple last time, so if I can pick off another 1 or 2 today, that will be the plan. The wind down there, obviously being in the south, you're going to be fairly sheltered from that northerly wind. I checked on the webcam this morning and it looked nice and flat, very wet still down there, but it looked okay for a bit of fishing. So I've loaded up all the gear. I'm now going to head down the 140. I'm going to pick up an old mate I used to do a lot of fishing with, that's Todd Moore, and he's going to accompany me today, so we'll sort of be able to see 2 different styles maybe fish. I know that he's after a ray today, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see the contrast of styles maybe. So that's it now. I'm going to just join the 140 now. So I got about 30 minutes to his house, and then we got an hour down to Felixstowe. So next time you see me, we should be on the front of Felixstowe. Okay, 90 minutes later, here we are at Felixstowe. A massive, great big Ferris wheel there. That wasn't there last time I was here. These are the bays. I'm parked just on the side of the street over there, free parking. But there is a pay and display there if you want to come right in next to where you're fishing. As you can see, that's completely empty, and the roadside's completely full, just about squeezed in a space. Then a nice big long promenade with the beach huts and these bays. So I'm probably going to set up in one of these bays. Rain has eased off a little bit now. It's quite bright and breezy. So go and get some gear on, get set up down here, see what we can do. It's a little bit rougher than what it was when we first left this morning. On the webcam it was flat, but I think that looks ideal. Let's go and get some gear on. Right, here we are. I've just set up just in front of the toilet block, which is in the Mannings section. Put my 2 rods up. Got me 2 Tournament Match Pros today. Multiplier reels, £15 line, £70 shock leaders. We've got about 5 hours till high tide, so I've got plenty of time. I've set up right on the top of this ridge. I may have to move a bit later on, but not quite yet. So I'm just going to get started in a minute. I'll run through the baits and the rigs. So my mate is over there, that's Todd. He's going to try fishing bait capsules and things like that. We're both looking for a ray really. It has roughed up a little bit since this morning when I looked, but I still think that's okay. Looks like it's got a bit of colour in there. And the wind has, we think, swung a little bit from northwesterly, maybe round to even slightly northeasterly. And it's a little bit fresh, but nowhere near as bad as it was in Norfolk. So next thing to do is get some rigs, get some baits and get going. So I've got the sort of usual array of baits for today. I've got some squid there, some frozen peelers, some large raw prawns, and some small versions of blueies. I've also got defrosting behind me in the shade a large herring. So they'll be the baits I'll be using today. I'll probably start off on something like a bluey or a herring, just to see if we can't get a ray, and then take it from there. Okay, I'm all set up now. So after driving down through all that rain and arriving here with it all grey and overcast, the sun's just come out, so never mind. First two baits are ready to go. Both rigs are going to be pulley rigs, 3-foot pulley rigs and 3-foot hook links. I've got one baited there with a couple of strips of fresh herring, and the other one with a bluey and squid cocktail. Both baits about the size of my thumb. So next job, let's get them out and let's get fishing. Both first casts in the water. There's quite a bit of tide pull by the looks of it. Both rods are, I cast it well out to the left and then pulling more or less straight or just to the right. So you often see some strange things when you're out on the beach. This is probably got to be one of the strangest. So there's some sort of film camera crew there, and looks like someone decided to take their hawk for a walk. She's holding what looks like a bird of prey, and they're doing some sort of photo shoot. So I say the first two casts in the water, both got fish baits on, and while they're out there I'll get preparing maybe half a crab and one of the raw prawns ready for a bait change. Although the sun came out briefly and it meant I had to take my top layer off, it's going to go back on again in a minute, because when you go out there with the rods, that breeze is quite stiff. It's nice, don't get me wrong. The other thing it did though, that brief shower got rid of everyone from off the beach, so there's only me and Todd fishing on the beach now. Plan for today is high tide is around 6:30, so we're going to fish up to high tide and then maybe an hour or two down. I don't plan on moving anywhere else today. This will be the one and only fishing spot today. We'll see how it goes. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to rotate this, which is the dongle rig. So every other cast, I'm going to put that on as a change, just to be doing something a little bit different. That's a raw prawn on there, and as you can see, all the juices are starting to drip out of the head end. So that'll be for the next bait change. The rod's been out 5 minutes. They've settled down straight out in front of me, so fingers crossed. Right, I'm going to give that right hand rod a bait change. It's probably been about 15 minutes, I haven't seen anything. Let's try this dongle on there. still no signs of anything at the moment. I think my mate next door, Todd's had a bite. He was using a bunch of 2 or 3 ragworm fairly close in, got a massive great wrap round on the rod, picked it up, and then whatever it was snagged him on some what felt like lost tackle apparently. That's a bit unfortunate. This week is actually half term for all the schools around there. That's why the car parking up the top there was so busy. I've just managed to squeeze into a space. I would find if it's not half term, I would think it would be a lot easier to park. It's free parking as far as I could see, and then just further up from where we are, literally behind where these beach huts here are, there is a little pay and display. So if you can't get on the side of the road, they do that pay and display, and I believe it's the same as what was at Manor Terrace, which is £4 a day. So it's about time I looked at the left hand rod now. So I haven't seen a physical bite on it, but I have often reeled in seas like this and found something hanging on. So I'll give it a check and a rebait. Bluey and squid cocktail going out on this one. So that bait was a Bluey and squid cocktail, and it came back almost as it went out. So nothing out there. Doesn't look like there's much crab activity at the moment either. It's just a question of waiting for some fish to move in now. At some point I may go to a slightly smaller rig, maybe a 2-hook flapper or a 2-hook clipped, smaller hooks and smaller baits, just to see if there is anything feeding. But we're not at that stage yet. Really want to try and catch you a ray today. Trying something a little bit different now. There's a whole mini squid on there. Kennelled hook. Well, it's still very slow. I think what I'm going to do is have a walk up to my old mucker up there and see how he's getting on. Well, I was talking about the old sole this morning. An old jammy bollocks here has just managed to catch one. Fishing a lot finer than I am though, to be fair. But there it is, look, a nice little slip. A bar of soap. Lovely. Yeah, good luck with that. That's like a bar of soap, isn't it? Hey? I think so. I'll get the measurement, the size, but yeah, won't be far off. What sort of gear are you using to get that then? That's not exactly. It's not exactly. I was going to say it's not exactly a tiny hook, but that's managed to jam it in its mouth.
Pennel rig with raglet.
Pennel, yeah, double pennel.
3 O's.
3 O hooks and a little sole has taken it. There you go. I'm fishing it all wrong. Well, my baits have been coming back literally as they've been out. So, but we've got 3 and a bit hours to the high tide, so it's sort of, I would assume it's going to fish better just before the top and just after. But oh, it's nice to see a fish on the bank anyway. Nice little Dover, lemon sole, whatever you call them. Well done. Right, after seeing Todd's little sole there, and he caught that on a rig he'd had out for bass. So he was 2 3/0 hooks pennelled, a little bit of a ragworm on there, and that sole took that. So he's kindly gave me some lovely fresh ragworms, and what I'm going to do now is just get a quick little 2-hook loop rig out, size 2s on, and try a little bit of ragworm, a little bit closer in on one of the rods while the other one's still fishing for the rays. So that's what I'm going to do now. And that's that mini squid I put out 20 minutes ago. Absolutely, completely untouched. Not even by the crabs. So I've got my left hand rod now with a little 2-hook loop, smaller bait, smaller hooks, with a little bit of ragworm on. And I'll just recast the right hand rod with a new piece of herring fillet on there. And that's what I'll carry on doing now. I'll scratch around on the left hand rod and carry on fishing for the big uns. Right, getting the faintness of taps on that right hand rod. Bearing in mind that's a little herring bait. Potentially be a small little whiting or something hanging on, but I'm going to give it a check. And the next one to go out on that rod is going to be a peeler. That's all ready to go. So it'll give me a chance to check that rod at the same time, in case there is a tiny little whiting hanging on. Dogfish blank saver, that's took the herring fillet. So it just shows you that little tap, tiny little tap from that. And I thought it was a tiny little whiting or something hanging on there, so quickly get the hook out. So you can almost normally rely on the dogfish to give you a bite or two even on a slow day. And that's just what happened. About 2 hours to go before high tide, so maybe a bit more flow, a few more fish might start feeding, but that's a good start. Time's ticking on now, we're coming up to about 5 o'clock, about an hour till high tide. Still not a great deal of activity, to be fair. A couple of little bites, pulls here and there, but they haven't developed into nothing. And the best bite I've had all day is when a seagull flew into the line and the rod virtually catapulted off the rest. The fact that I've got those grippers saved it really. The rod top pulled right down and it pinged the seagull off with the rod still in the rest. So apart from that little bit of excitement, crowd seem to have cleared off now, less and less people about. I keep getting odd little rattles on the right hand rod, which is the rod I've had the big bait on all day, and I'm now about to change the left hand rod back over to a pulley panel and a bigger bait. So I'm going to fish an hour up to high tide now with the big baits and an hour down and assess it from there, see what's going on. So I've just had to move my shelter back a little bit because with about 45 minutes to go to high tide. The waves are just about coming over the top of the lip on that shingle there. So rather than get drowned, I'll just move back about another 6 foot. I don't think it's going to come too far over that. But the odd rogue wave, which is built up during the day. Still a bit slow on the bike front, but yeah, fingers crossed. Might get something just before and just after high. We keep rotating those baits. I'm changing the baits about every 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most. Both on pulley pennels now, on biggish baits. And I'm literally going through the card every time. I've got crab, prawn, squid and bluey, which I'm rotating on every other cast. So far only one dogfish, and that took a lump of herring. There's obviously a herring on there as well. We'll keep ploughing away, see if we can string a few fish together before we finish. We'll probably go to about 7:30 tonight, so got plenty of time. And sometimes here it only takes an hour and it can just switch on, and we might be able to get one on camera. So it's just gone 7 now, and I've just had a couple of little dogfish, one after the other, on tiny little squid baits. So we're going to call it a day now. Most of the gear is already packed down, the shelter and everything. One rod's off the rest. I'm just going to pack that rod away now, reel the other one in, load the car, and get on our way. It's been a little bit of a tough day, really, considering. When he had that sole quite early and he lost that early bass, or we think it was a bass, it looked like it might be a decent day, but it's gone really hard. Just spoke to a couple of locals. They've said it's not been fishing brilliantly. They're sort of saying something about too much fresh water gone in, but I don't know. So that's the plan now. Literally going to get that last rod in, have a good pack down, and then head for home. Thank you everyone for watching. Sorry it hasn't been a fish-filled bonanza like I was hoping, but as I always say, that's fishing for you. I'll see you again next time. Okay, so just to finish off for today, I'm back at the car, all the gear's loaded in the car. It's just gone up to 8 o'clock. As you can see when you're parking down this Mannings section, you've got plenty of places where you can eat, drink, or spend a fortune in the machines. Such as all the way along here, kebabs, hot dogs, milkshakes, fish and chips. All this roadside parking here is all free. If it is full up and you can't get in anywhere, just down near that toilet block there in the distance, there's a pan display car park. I think it's £4 a day, the same as the Manor Terrace. So all in all, a nice, comfortable, easy venue to fish. You can literally go straight through, straight onto the beach. It's that near. So if you're not into your walking, park your car there, straight onto the beach. road and head home. So hopefully it'll be a little bit quieter on the roads on the way home. We had quite a bit of traffic on the way down. So here's to next time. Thank you very much.